There's Chase. And there's Sean. Hey, nice. All right, we're full house tonight.
What's up?
Yay.
Did it get really loud? I feel like it got loud.
I might have gotten loud, but no, you are still the same volume. You're good. Everybody hear me okay? Can we get a mic check on Sean and Chase, please?
Check, check.
Do I sound good?
You sound perfect, dude. Thank you. All right. So we are streaming. I'm just waiting for a little bit. Everybody get their settled in and stuff. Typically, Sean Chase, we just go around and introduce everybody, and you can do a little spiel about what you Twitch or stream, whatever. And then we'll just BS about the news and have some fun.
Awesome.
Sean, you ready?
Am I ready?
Yeah, you ready?
Did Sean do a mic check? You're looking very cool there.
Yeah, my hair's still drying, but you know, it's fine. Actually, I gotta go get my bagel, but you don't have to wait on me for that. So.
All right. Go ahead, just your bagel, man. Hey, everybody. Okay. Welcome to another news roundup from the Crowdsourced Politics podcast crew. I'm your host and moderator, Cypher. And today I am joined by Art Black.
How's it going, everybody?
Afra Della Riviere.
Good evening.
Nikki Adams. Bueller.
Nikki, that's you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Nikki. Just had filling in. I'm the understudy.
Here's Nikki. Hi, y'all.
Sean Solo, who is always welcome to join the show. You can see his nerddom behind him. And joining us on the program for the first time is Chase. Chase, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? What do you do? So we can get to know you a bit.
Sure. So I'm Chase. I'm on Twitch as Chase W. Mitchell, which is a really fantastic, easy to find name. In real life, I work in international development. I volunteer at a couple big collegiate Model UN conferences. On Twitch, I mostly just talk about politics and hang out. So glad to be here.
Awesome. Glad that you can make it, man. So I assume that we found each other through the Hippy Dippy podcast. I assume that's when we first. I
think it was actually on Tom Foolery's channel of all places. But yeah.
Got it. Cool. Well, if this
can I just jump in and say that you have a fantastic voice, a little bit intimidated. So really bringing the bass. We appreciate that here.
I've been told that before. I don't know. I think it's just the microphone doing me a favor, but who knows?
Oh, there we go.
Whatever works. So we will be talking about a bunch of stuff that happened over the last week. If you see Afra camera come in and out, she's just going off camera for a little bit. She is still around and can hear us.
I have a baby visitor.
Yes. So how has everybody been these last couple of weeks? We haven't streamed for 2 weeks, primarily because yours truly lives in Texas, and so I didn't lose power, but I didn't feel right to stream while other people in Texas were not having power. So how's everybody doing?
Well, we don't have a $10,000 electric bill, so there's that.
Mm-hmm. Mine would be about.
Are you getting hit with one of those massive bills?
Thankfully, no, because I live in Austin.
Good God.
If I lived in Dallas or one of the other smaller counties or smaller cities, I might be one of those people.
So that's a real thing, that those costs are getting passed on to consumers.
Yes.
They aren't wow, that's disgusting.
I haven't looked into it, but I don't think it's as widespread as people would instantly assume. I think it's just a certain sector, certain place.
Yeah,
from one particular company, isn't that right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be, and it's not 10,000 was the max. There's a lot of people who are getting hit for 2,000, 1,500, 800, gargantuan numbers, but it's not like the whole state was getting. Yeah, definite pockets were getting just slammed.
And it was in places like San Angelo and some places outside Dallas. It's essentially Texas allows people to have variable rate plans, and it's because it's a deregulated market. Try to find the best plan that you can, and there's multiple providers in numerous districts. Austin Austin City provides power and water, but in San Angelo there was like 2 or 3 providers. One of them was solar, another one was like natural gas, and they were competing with each other. And because the free market always does well.
Just going to say, the economic term for this is the invisible pimp hand of the free market. And it came to collect. Yeah, it's Thursday, and it wants its money.
It came strong. The backhand was there.
Uh-huh.
That's what.
And there
yeah,
doesn't
that's just
seem to be
economics.
any plan to bail these people out. They're going to have to pay.
Well, apparently they
ahead.
have they're running some of these folks like a 5 or 10 year payment plan because they realized that it would be unreasonable to expect them to pay $10,000 next month. So there were some concessions by the power companies to try and stretch it out so that they could extract the wealth in a reasonable amount of time.
Great. No, I heard about that. That's not good enough.
Not at all.
Yeah, my first assumption is that they would see, who might pay it just right off the bat, like, whatever, I'm rich. And then they might just forgive the rest of it, like, whatever, we'll let it go. It happened. It's over now. But of course, that's not happening. What was I thinking?
Some of it is also the
Can we
Texas
talk
governor.
about the fact that we
Nikki, you broke up. Could you repeat yourself?
yeah, I was going to say, can we talk for a minute about the fact that we elected a president who has power over the weather?
Yeah.
Because
Well, yeah, no,
something
I
that we
mean,
need to consider.
at least we're back to presidents who have power over the weather. I mean, I know George W. Bush had an evil weather machine, and that created Katrina. And Sandy was engineered to make Obama win a second term. And it just seems really unfair that Trump was the only president who didn't have that ability to control the weather, and he needed to use Sharpies instead in order to mimic that power.
You're actually, you're one level of conspiracy too high. You're forgetting the fact that we're lucky to have a president who's again accountable to Bill Gates, who actually controls the weather.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I'm sorry. I stand corrected
Exactly.
on that.
I stand corrected.
It is like super sad. I mean, we're making a little bit of light of it, but it is like pretty abhorrent that we don't, it's 2021 and we're still to the point that we don't recognize power as necessary to like be a functional part of society. And that is still being left to market forces that end up causing people to be lives are ruined. People are dying as a result of this system that we have in place. And it's awful.
Yep. Yeah.
No,
I
for
mean,
sure.
yeah, and
It is
it's,
awful.
there's always a joke there, but the final analysis, I agree. We have to be serious about this, and power is important. It's necessary. I can't. I've gone 24 hours without it, and the running water and everything without these residual giant bills that people are having, and it's terrifying to be in that position. People have been in for such a long time, and then you have this like ideology coming through where to the point where one of the mayors in Texas thinks it's okay to tell everybody like buck up, only the strong will survive. I mean, that's really, you're really committed. You're really committed.
That was so awful.
Situation, but I don't think he's alone.
No, definitely not alone.
Texans equal.
Yeah, definitely not alone. And that's the worst thing about it, to be honest with you. Like, there was people saying that for days. Like, it was frankly disgusting. And I'm glad that he resigned, but the fact that he felt comfortable saying it in the first place is just beyond the pale.
Exactly.
But also super common. Leads us to the classical moral dilemma that I just invented, called Art's Dilemma. Art's Dilemma is that Art wants to feel, this is me talking in the third person, wants to feel for people who are undergoing this type of natural disaster, and just out of human empathy, I do care about their material condition and the plight that they're going through. On the other hand, I look back over the last several decades of their voting patterns and how they have created this weird, lone pocket of energy production that's totally separate from the eastern and western, power grids. and kind of self-inflicted it because of very strongly held beliefs. So on one hand, it's comeuppance, and I kind of celebrate that. But on the other hand, that's kind of morbid and petty and small too, because I do want to feel bad for them. We should extend them help and support and all that. Even Ted Cruz, who's voted 5 times against supporting blue states when they needed help in these conditions, now for his state. So it's stuff like that where I struggle between my empathy and my desire.
I mean, it makes sense, but like at the same time, you have to, like, everybody needs to realize just because Texas is like 56% Republican doesn't mean the other 44% of us need to get fucked as well. So,
hence the dilemma. That's the dilemma.
Yeah, and then there's the apolitical, and it's like, can you blame them or not in any sort of shape or form? Like,
I mean, in 2021, it does feel pretty radical to say things like, oh, we should support programs that help everybody, even the people that are, voting for the Leopards Ate My Fates party. So.
Hey,
true.
If it's not the leopards, it's going to be the tigers. So would you rather eat your face, a leopard or a tiger? I'm going with leopards. Okay?
Exactly.
Seriously.
I mean, they're the same. They're the same.
Same party.
They're exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Yeah, they're all beholden to Big Lion anyway.
True. Yeah. Big feline is pulling the laser pointer across the room. Yeah, that's true. Directing our attention.
So
it's just tough. It's tough.
There is a person that wanted to talk to us about energy and what's going on in Texas, probably to compare it a little bit to California. I'm going to go ahead and message them really quick and tell them they can go ahead and get on. In the meantime, people just talk. In the meantime, talk amongst yourselves a little bit. Let's find out how everybody's doing, and once they get in, we can continue talking about it.
I am really hoping that Art can explain the painting behind him, because I've really enjoyed it on a couple streams now.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to know what's going on.
Good question.
So, long story short, in Tang Dynasty China around like the 7th century, they had contact with the Persians, and there was some, basically like a polo sport. It was transported over and became very popular with noble women. So they played it. It was a pretty big thing for, a couple of the Mongol invasion. After that, a lot of the fun and game stuff of the Chinese aristocracy kind of got wiped out. But it was just a big thing for the long that the kind of the royal sport, or like a court sport in that era of China was women playing polo.
Interesting.
Nothing really more to it.
About that? Because I just read about it. Did you post something?
Yeah, actually, me about that. Also about the background. I think it was our friend Natasha from New Zealand.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Natasha's good people. She was one of the first people that actually called onto our show, I believe.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah, we had problems because we were still learning. It was like our first time on Twitch, but hey, it is what it is. It looks like Bill.
So in a former life, I was a. Oh, I'm sorry. Just to kind of loop back into that. Yeah. In a former life, I was an intelligence in the army. I had studied Mandarin Chinese. So kind of an extension of that, I got really interested in Chinese history. So I stationed out of the embassy and just loved Chinese culture and all of that. And then immediately after that 9/11 happened, and I got sucked into that and never really got back into that world. But prior to that, it was a huge influence.
Oh, okay, yeah. I too am Intel. I'm sure that we have other people in our community there as well. We should definitely put together a former Intel kind of veteran podcast, I think, episode at one point.
Not talk about what we used to do.
No, we don't talk about what we used to do. We just give our opinions about what we're doing now. And then it's like, these Intel guys gotta have the same idea. Well, yeah, of course we do. Like, that sort of thing. Sean, I actually getting a little bit of feedback from you, so I went ahead and muted you. Just FYI, if you want to talk, go ahead and unmute yourself. Go ahead, Art. I'm sorry.
Huh? Oh, no. It's just funny because it took me years to even manage to say, which I still feel awkward about saying the word SIGINT. Like it's still like involuntary pain to say that, out loud. But I've gotten really, really good about talking around it in such a way that people don't ask further. Like I was actually good about that even back these days. It's just like it doesn't even come up. But my only concern would be to get enough people that used to be in the life that then suddenly, we go down the wrong, all that. Like now it's just not even a concern because nobody wouldn't even know the right questions to ask. But, you get too many of us together, this is the odds that somebody, says something and then we go off and suddenly we all get hauled in and we're all fucked.
It's like that the game, right? See who loses first.
Put up in a black site.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah. So it's the only winning move is not to play.
Well, then we definitely have to do that now. Bill.
Yeah, I know. We
Oh, this is awkward. Bill, I see that you have joined us. What was it that you wanted to talk about regards to energy, what happened in Texas with the grid, that sort of thing, and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how you came to be part of the crowdsourced politics community and that sort of thing as well. Can't actually hear you. I see your volume moving, but you're not coming through in audio.
Where'd he go?
Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Oh, no. Okay, good. Yeah, it's a little frozen on my side. I'm not sure if my internet connection is faulty, but you guys hearing me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. You're delayed a little bit, though.
I can't.
Well, that's kind of normal. So what I do for a living actually is I build energy projects in California. And so I have a kind of an insight into the politics around how energy is produced.
You're breaking up really bad.
So
I think it might be
turn it off and back on again.
Yeah, I think Bill, you might have to log off and come back on. You're just breaking up really bad. If you have like an older laptop, you might be trying to process too many people's videos too, so that could be an issue. All right.
Yeah, laptop fairly my signal is jacked up. Bummer. Should I try to call in through the Discord? Would that be better?
Nobody else will be able to hear you because we're all using this program to speak and everything. If you can log on and log back in, that might help. No. All right. Well, that's the way these things are. He's gone, and then he was still coming in. Yeah, that's got to be on his end.
You know, I find that every single time that I go live on Twitch, I learn something new about about going live on Twitch.
Yeah, it is
True.
Simply ridiculous about how all these things work, man. Like, I don't know. Well, yesterday we had a super bad issue where two people couldn't connect at all, and the sound wasn't coming through and everything. And then they turned it on today, and they both work, and we're just like, okay, of course, right? Nothing changed.
Perfect. Yeah.
So.
No problems at all.
So while we wait for Bill, what else do you guys want to talk about? Sean, Afra, Nikki, anybody? What kind of topic do you want to get onto while we wait for Bill to join us?
Well, I think we're going to talk about Merrick Garland and Neera Tanden. So some of the confirmation kerfuffles. And I don't know if anybody's been following the hearings on the Capitol riot, but that's become, I don't know. I don't know why I was hoping for clarity from any of that, but I'm not getting it exactly what happened. So,
well, was there a particular thing that you were expecting from learning about the Capitol, like from the hearings? Because there hasn't been too many investigations about it yet, right? Like it's been a month, and it takes a while for discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, I guess I was
we
hoping
got some breaking news.
Do we? What is it?
Yeah,
About the
we do.
airstrikes?
Yeah, thanks to Joe Chadwick, I just saw this come up on our Discord. The U.S. has carried out an airstrike on a structure connected to an Iran-backed militia in Syria, following 3 separate rocket attacks against U.S. forces in Iraq, according to a defense official. The strike, which was ordered by President Joe Biden, was designed to damage the militia's group's ability to conduct future attacks, the official said.
Carried out an attack on a structure connected to an Iran-backed militia.
Uh-oh, was that Sean? Yeah, it's probably Sean.
Possibly.
So we had another airstrike against Iran militias, kind of like as a retaliation from their recent strike. What is this going to say about the Biden administration and our foreign policy? We're going to continue down the same road, or we're going to be a little more judicious than what Trump had?
I mean, Trump also bombed Syria, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But Trump also assassinated Soleimani. So, like, is this something that we can expect an escalation from? Because we're still trying to get into the back into the Iran nuclear deal. There was also earlier today the GPCA, or I'm terrible with acronyms. The regulatory body that's doing the investigations made a deal with Iran to continue the SNAP investigations. But it's like a stopgap, so it's like only for like 2 weeks or something like that. What are
you talking about the IAEA?
The IAEA, yes.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really, it's hard to know what to make of this. It really seems like status quo with regards to Syria, which is unfortunate. I'm curious at what, if any, there'll be any implications from this with regards to the JCPOA, but I doubt it, because they really do feel very separate. Every time something happens in Syria, I just try to think about, is there any possible hope for a diplomatic solution in Syria? And that just seems to be increasingly impossible. And I don't really think that this helps in any direction. It just maintains how things have been going, which is too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Bill back, Anthony?
It looks like Bill is back. Bill, can you try to say something, see if how everything is working again? No, disconnect.
Guess not.
How am I sounding now while we're doing that?
I can hear a fan in the background, but that's about it.
Probably my miners.
Oh, it's your miner. That's what it is, dude.
Wait, like Bitcoin miners?
Man.
Oh,
Got
no. Oh, no.
Well, we can talk about how Bitcoin's energy surpassed Argentina.
Oh, no, I'm destroying the environment.
Oh, no.
I saw, it's really hard with cryptocurrencies, because I feel like there's an opportunity for like decentralized finance, and that could be very good in terms of like its ability to empower the average person against like mega institutions. But there's also the reality that it just takes a tremendous amount of power. And I don't know, maybe we just need to work on improving our energy systems end to end. And then we don't have to worry about how much power we're using. If power isn't scarce and it's renewable, then we don't have to worry about it.
I think the estimate is something around like 60% of crypto mining is done with renewable energy, because it's the easiest way to make a profit. So
yeah, it's like 60. They're highly incentivized to use solar or hydro power, whatever the case may be. That's the best way for them to get cost savings on their end result. So,
and they've also done things like stuck miners in the middle of not the Arctic, but like in really cold areas that are year round, in order to bring down cooling costs by using natural cooling.
Yeah, in the colder parts of Russia, they're putting them under the floorboards, so it'll like heat the whole house, and then they're just constantly generating this little income to supplement it.
Yep. There was a person that had turned their miner into a heat source for their radiator, so that they were using it to heat their house in the winter. So
mine keeps my room nice and warm. Like I'm happy with it. Like definitely cuts down on the heater bill too. So
It's a one of those things. Speaking of
yeah,
energy,
they compare it to like countries, and it makes it seem like this massive number that's just unfathomable, and it's so bad. But it's like it's really not that much if you put it in perspective. Like think about all the Xboxes that are running right now across the whole world. Like how much power is that using? Like
Yeah.
I'm streaming right now, for example. So
there's just endless things. Like everybody just charging their phone and their tablet, and just things that are just sitting there year round doing nothing. It's, yeah.
More breaking news. The Senate parliamentarian has rule increase may not be included in the COVID relief package if it's passed for reconciliation.
The minimum, sorry,
I
the
knew that
minimum
was
wage
coming.
increase, you said?
Well, let's talk about that. That was on our thing. Yes, Chase, he said that the minimum wage increase has been ruled not to be able to be put into budget reconciliation
Yes, it is.
due to budget reconciliation rules. So let's go ahead and talk about it. What does that mean?
Because it's a mandate on the states, it's not a spending issue.
That's the rationale?
It seems to be.
Okay.
Like basically
Well,
Congress
now,
has the
isn't it
power
the case
to
that the-
control.
Art and then Nikki, please.
Just that the idea is that the House would continue as for the Constitution, but levying a requirement on the states, I guess apparently it's not something that can be done.
I wonder if it could be done.
Except that,
Go ahead, Nikki. Sorry.
sorry. Except that the president of the Senate can overrule the parliamentarian.
Okay.
It's not done very often, apparently, but that is a possibility, and that would be obviously Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I understand the rationale, and I wonder if they could have rewritten the bill in such a way that it did comply with reconciliation. So like if it became a spending issue, like they were going to directly supplement it or something like that to make it an issue that they could do reconciliation with, and that would allow them to do it in theory. And I wonder if they are dropping this because they couldn't muster the political will to get it through rather than them just relying on the parliamentarian as a scapegoat.
It could be a combination of both. I mean, we do have two senators mentioned, and I can't remember her name, but they both were against having the minimum wage raised to 15.
Is
Sorry?
it Cinema? Cinema?
I think so.
Okay.
Cinema, yeah,
Yeah.
cinema.
They were both against
It is.
minimum wage increase, and because
Why?
mentioned because he's from West Virginia and $15 an hour might be middle class in West Virginia. It's not for a family, anyways. But the median wage in Virginia is like $18 an hour or something like that. So I mean, it's Manchin, right? I don't want to give him too much credit because he's basically a dino. At the same time, I kind of understand that rationale. It's dumb rationale. It's not pertinent. Like if the minimum wage raises, everybody else just demands a higher wage because who's going to want to do backbreaking labor for $2 more than the person that's working at McDonald's? Nobody. So they're gonna have to pay more. But in the interim, it might cause some issues.
Well, that's I think was really clever about the way that they designed it was not that it was going to be an instant $15 minimum wage, but that it was going to take place over 5 years. Now, a lot of people were screaming bloody murder about this, but it's just the most effective way to like minimize the negative outcomes. And Joe Manchin was talking about. So the whole, like, if you do all the math and read the studies, there's that 60% number. So if you take the median wage and take 60%, that is the level at which you can set the minimum wage and not have like a negative net outcome. So like job losses versus net benefit. And in West Virginia, as of today, that works out to about $13. And that was part of Joe Manchin's argument against this minimum wage. But that doesn't take into account that 5 years from now, it's almost certainly going to be different.
No, for sure.
Like, there's no way that it wouldn't be a good thing. And Joe Manchin is just I can't believe that he's going to have this much power, and that I have no faith that the Democratic caucus is going to have the backbone to be able to push things through that are going to allow them to deliver on a lot of their political promises, which is too bad.
Nikki, you had something you wanted to say?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, so go ahead, Art.
Just a quick comment from our boy John Fetterman. His comment was, maybe if the Senate parliamentarian made $7.25 an hour, they'd have ruled differently.
Probably not, though.
Nice.
Oh ho ho.
Fetterman is my
I
guy.
just love
man.
that guy. Yeah.
Go ahead. So I got introduced to Fetterman like 2015 or so. I want to say it was 2015. One of my Facebook friends was pushing him really hard. So Fetterman's good people. I'm glad that he is going to pursue bigger ambitions in politics.
Yeah.
He's going to go far.
Yeah. Yeah, we got it. You like that band before they were mainstream.
Hey, gotta let my political nerd
Cool, man.
freak flag fly. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, wonk hipster. We
There
get
you go.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I got the luxurious
Yeah.
beard. I'm
Yep.
good.
The lumberjack beard.
Beard.
You need an axe on the wall behind you.
Separate bill.
I need something on the wall behind me. I don't have
An
my green
artisan
screen.
axe,
yeah.
and then I'll believe you. I'll believe your hipster cred.
I was a
Yesterday
hipster,
with
but
the that Australian chick was like, so are you a lumberjack?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm like, what are you talking about? No.
That was so good.
No, I believe she just misspoke. The correct term is lumbersexual. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
True.
Is there that for guys? Anyway.
No, it's almost explicitly for guys. But the thing is, you're not wearing flannel, so you're,
Yeah.
I don't know if you were yesterday.
I was not.
I think that's a prerequisite. It's a
Okay.
prerequisite.
Absolutely.
Good
Yeah.
point. Good point.
There is a separate bill on the House floor already for the minimum wage hike. They weren't sure from the beginning if that was going to be able to stay in the bill, and if they did use it, if they did it in such a way that they were able to like scapegoat the parliamentarian, then I guess that's what happened. But there is legislation coming behind it. And I think, he's done so many executive orders and he's getting a lot of flack for that. The other side of that coin, though, is that there are pieces of legislation that are going to back up those EOs, as opposed to like Trump when it was just an EO and go fuck yourself.
Mm.
We're not going to do legislation.
Well, a lot
We'll
of-
do it because I said.
It's a lot of promises that never made it to legislation. He signed tons of pieces of paper, whether
Right.
they stood up or not, and they, nothing to back them
No,
up.
a lot of when we say nothing to back it up, a lot of the modern imperial presidency rests on the fact that Congress has actually created a huge amount of authority to exercise their discretion. And these executive orders that we're throwing, this is just the president, doing stuff willy-nilly, most of the time actually rests on a very strong body of congressional legislation that's been passed that lets them basically put the responsibility to the president. So, I think it's why we obsess more and more these days about who's the president, is because Congress is increasingly, over the last several decades, unwilling to do their jobs, everything from declaring war, have you, but that you have this increasing sense that, well, whoever wins gets to decide because we in Congress can't figure it out. So, it's not really that inappropriate. Really do, the overwhelming majority of cases have the authority to do what these EOs they're doing.
Yeah, it
No,
seems like
100%.
Congress's job is to protect themselves from the political consequences of any vote that they make. So it would be only in their best interest to have, people rule by executive order, to have Mitch McConnell or Chuck Schumer decide not to call something to a vote so that they could protect themselves. It's Congress's job is to get reelected. That's pretty much all that they do.
It's
The best argument for term limits in the world.
And getting rid of the filibuster.
It's really complicated. It's really complicated because if you eliminate term limits, you're going to increase deadlock and decrease competency. Like that is inherent in doing that. And now, like, if you talked about term limits and wanted to like massively expand the Congressional Research Office and make it, even better than what it was at its best before it got destroyed, then I think it's worthy of discussion. But yeah, I mean, Congress is totally derelict. Everything is handed off to the executive. The idea that the executive can basically engage in war unchecked, can join international agreements by executive order and then drop out by executive order, like none of that is good. And there's a reason why our allies see us as increasingly unreliable. Like our foreign policy, we used to have a bipartisan consensus, at least, where like things maintained from administration to administration. That's gone. And we're unreliable. Like we can't be predicted. We're not as useful as we once were, and that is diminishing our influence. Not only so we're talking about domestic policy, but like our influence abroad is being severely diminished as a result of this reality, and it's really unfortunate.
And what was it, 2014, when a bunch of Republican senators went, where'd they go, Israel or something, and said, any decision that this president's making is going to be undone, and there were no consequences for that, and that benefits. Like you said, Chase, it doesn't benefit the United States, doesn't benefit anybody, but it does benefit Congress because, that's how they're able to run on things.
That was to Iran, specifically Grand Ayatollah Khomeini.
Right. Don't make this deal because we're just gonna, pull back on it as soon as there's another president, and it can't do anything but diminish. The ability to make diplomatic decisions and negotiations for the executive or anybody else. So, agree.
I mean,
I don't know how we get back either. That's the sad part. Like the Congress needs to reassert its authority. Like centralized power in the U.S. is not something I'm in favor of. So
I don't think anybody here is. Like it's a really bad situation. I think part of the thing that we need to do is for this is actually expand the number of congressmen, and so they represent less people, and therefore have more direct interactions with the people that they represent. I don't think it's very possible for a person to actually understand their 700,000 constituents. I don't think they can have a very good pulse about what they actually want, and hence go into special interest and anybody that can actually see them.
Mm-hmm. And I worry about term limits too, because I feel like the more that you put limits on at least the people in the House of Representatives, the more you're carving out a certain niche of people who are going to do it. Because I could do it for 4 years, I could make this amount of money or create these kinds of connections. I know that the founders were worried about the idea of not paying Congress people, because they felt that if you did that, you were likely to end up with only rich people in Congress, only rich people as senators, right? You have to pay them. And I think that term limits can have a similar sort of effect. And what Chase said about, increasing funding and the genius of the Congressional Research Office is really important. But just anytime you start to impose term limits, you're just going to erase people who might be planning to do that for a career or not wanting to suddenly become contingent, within 2 years or 3 years. The way that we have to deal with it now, though, is that they're constantly just running for office. And I think maybe if they had a smaller constituency, that wouldn't be as much of a problem. There weren't.
Yeah.
Sean, were you trying to say something? Okay, I heard somebody else speak up when I did.
I think Bill's trying to come in. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, Bill, can you try to talk to us again?
Yeah, how's my audio now?
Oh, it's so much better. It's actually coming in pretty clear now.
Excellent. Sorry about that earlier.
No, it's no worries, man. Glad that you could join
As
us.
you should be.
There we go.
Shame.
Glad that you could join us.
Thank you.
So, Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then go ahead and ask us the questions you want or discuss what you want.
Well, thank you. Nice to see everybody. And so what I do in California is I work in energy. I do a lot of renewable projects. I do a lot of efficiency projects. And it might surprise some of the people that know me from online to learn that I'm, super environmentalist, super into, green tech and all its facets. And basically, that's brought me up against energy policy in the state of California really every day. And when that disaster happened in Texas, was it just last week? Man, it seems like forever ago. I recognized a lot of the factors that were playing out in Texas as factors that played out in California. And really, it kind of, it's like the inverse of our broken system. Their broken system is like the inverse of our broken system. And it all kind of revolves around what you guys were just talking about, the corruption endemic in the political process. So Texas is deregulated. Texas is an island. They don't import energy. But the dark side of that is there's a metric. Actually, let me back up a little bit. So a lot of people think power companies are producers of power and distributors of power. That's frequently not the case. Usually there's many different players that make up energy getting delivered to your home or business. And they're different players. So what happens in California a lot is we import a lot of our energy because our environmental regulations prevent us from making our own in any but a renewable paradigm. So the distributors of energy in California are much different than the actual producers of energy elsewhere. In Texas, the producers are also different than the distributors. But here's what happened. So basically, it was kind of like a catastrophic failure on all levels. Texas is not set up for cold weather. So a lot of their systems just failed. The same as would happen if it got unseasonably hot in Alaska. A bunch of systems would just fail because they're not really set up for those conditions. So what the financial deal was, though, is there was a metric that allowed the energy distributors to pass the commodity of energy onto the consumer. So I think what happened in the most egregious case was the cost of a megawatt went from around $20 to around $9,000. And that was just a supply and demand thing that got passed on to the consumer.
Yeah.
So a megawatt's a million watts. That's roughly the equivalent of maybe 200 homes trying to run their heater. So if 200 homes were trying to run their heaters at $9,000 a megawatt for a week, you'd wind up with a $10,000 bill. And that's kind of what happened and why it happened. And really, that's what I wanted to kind of.
Well, thank you for your insight, Bill. When you said it was the inverse of what's going on in California, are you basically saying that California is too regulated and Texas is not regulated enough?
Well, I'm saying they're both unregulated, but in different ways. Texas doesn't import energy. We import almost all our energy that's not renewable. And really, it sets up the same problem because the commodity is being passed through distribution in both cases, but the commodity is different than the distributor. So if there's volatility in that commodity market, all these distributors have a way to pass that risk and that pain onto their consumers. In California, for example, if you have a business, you're probably paying the utility to set aside energy that you might use in addition to the energy you actually use. If you're a residential customer in California, you're paying for energy in a tiered way, like you only get so much and then they really raise the rates, or you're paying for energy in a time of use way. So you can only use energy between certain hours or it gets really expensive.
Right.
Texas is much less regulated, but the dark side of that is if there is some sort of volatility, I mean, all that risk gets passed on to the consumer.
Okay, I guess that makes a lot of sense. Does anybody have an opinion about this? Do you think what would be better for Texas and maybe California is kind of a, as far as energy is concerned, is to like either expand or like retrofit or what have you? What's your all's opinion about that? What Bill has been saying?
Everybody's like, what the fuck did Bill just say? So,
I had to step away for a minute, so I'm not sure that I'm the best person to comment, but I do appreciate the clarity here, you know, in terms of, you know, it's not just about the amount of regulation, but who the middleman is and how that I don't know. I have no opinion. I just thought I'd step up. Art.
Art knows all about the dirty little secrets in California.
Oh, Art's still missing.
I had him muted. Art, you're gonna have to repeat yourself. Sorry. We can hear you mixing your drink in the background, so I muted you for a second.
The clinking of ice cubes, the signal that Art approaches.
Right, exactly. It's like the bell on the cat. Okay, so we're talking about Texas and power, right?
Texas
Or
power
California.
and how California and Texas are kind of like inverses of each other, but similar problems as far as what type of regulation or lack thereof is potentially contributing to the issue.
Yeah, we have the equally opposite stupid problem. I mean, what wrong with Texas? You know, arguably Texas does better, and what we do well, they don't do well, and all that. You know, with California, we have these kind of competing forces of we're a great big blue state, but we're also like extremely conservative in some ways. We're also beholden to environmental interests and a lot of cronyism, a lot of you know, pay to play. It's just it's a mess. It's a lot of, you know, competing perceptions and forces that, for good and bad reasons, have jammed up our works. So.
I'll give you an example of the crony capitalism. I used to do a lot of energy stuff for schools. And at one point, a firm offered for the price of $15,000 a month, I could play golf with school superintendents. So that's kind of how she. For $15,000 a month, I would get golf with school superintendent.
Wow.
So that's, yeah.
That's really messed up.
And the messed up part was everybody was acting like that was completely normal and acceptable.
That's gonna go. Well, Bill, I am thankful that you came on and instilled us with your wisdom. Is there anything else you would like to say before we move on to the next topic?
Sure. Yeah. I just like to kind of tie it up with this. Basically, what the issue is in both states is that the officials that are appointed to oversee electricity in Texas, it's, I forget the acronym, but they have a board that's supposed to make. Yeah, exactly. And in California, it's the California Public Utilities Commission, CPUC. In both instances, the officials that are appointed to shepherd energy being reliable and affordable are appointed by elected officials, which get elected, much as you got discussing before I popped on. through special interests and campaign funding. So really the process of energy commodity and distribution is shot through with corruption, and as consumers, we just don't get their share. And, it might surprise people that know me from online again to know that I'm in favor of public utilities, not private utilities. Even though that's going to be super inefficient as everything public is, the consumer protections need to be in place with something as essential as electrical energy.
I think I'm willing to put up with inefficiency if it means not having, the basic things you need to like live and participate in society. I mean, I know, hot take, but
yeah.
Yeah, who was it? Was it Rick Perry said that Texans would rather go cold for a week than let the federal government come in and regulate? And I'm like, you're stupid.
No.
I mean, we know the answer to that. We saw him on Dancing with the Stars and running for president twice. But like, seriously, dude?
Well, here's the thing. People actually die over this shit. Some kid in Texas fucking froze to death. 2 years ago, 85 people burned to death in Northern California. I mean, this is like serious shit here. So, I'm with Chase. As much as I hate, regulation and bureaucracy and all that, in this instance, probably appropriate.
Yeah.
Or you wanted to break in with a point, I think?
Oh, no, I'm just more thinking, this is just thinking out loud, but the one kind of unifying force among Californian voters, the desire to protect property values, uber alles, like above all else, they don't really care if it's unlivable for people. Like they're just like, well, Californians will just move away. Like ultimately, if there's not enough power for the state, like you have like these competing forces of like environmentalism, these regulatory bodies, these like property value forces, all this kind of comes together. And it's basically like, well, if there's not enough power, people just leave. Like if the housing is unobtainable, people just leave. Like they'll just go away. Like we're not going to chase them away. We're not going to tell them to go, but we're just going to have the kind of that most Californians want. And if it doesn't work for other people, then, there's, Idaho or Texas or Nevada. Like there really is this kind of sense among your average California, like even state, because socially we are a blue state, but economically, like this is the most, hey, got mine, like state you've ever seen. Like once people have got that certain level where they're just kind of in, they're just like, well, sorry. And, if you don't like it, you can, move to Colorado and turn that blue or whatever, or not. Like, they just don't care. People, I mean, this is utopia for a lot of people. They're just happy to have theirs. And if it doesn't work out for other people, then, bye.
No, that's kind of a sad state of affairs. I mean, Texas is kind of the same way, right? So if Texas feels like if you're not conservative, well, then get out. And so I guess
in California, if you don't have the money, get the fuck out. I mean, it's really a
like I said. Yeah, but like I said, it's just funny because everyone thinks that we're like this big blue state, and in a lot of ways, like we're a deeply blue state, but not in the ways that you would think would transfer. Yeah. So it's just funny because like the villain talking to the hero is like, we're not so different, you and I. But in a weird sense, like. Yeah, but California and Texas are darkly very similar. I mean, there was a period we're not a deep blue state. I mean, 10 years ago, like gay marriage was illegal, like straight up
constitutionally
illegal.
So.
So we had a long run of Republican governors. It's only very recent that because of social issues, we're just way out of line with the rest of the country. But internally, especially with things that have to do with pocketbooks. The average Californian, even the the wealthy ones, like Bill was saying, like basically like, hey, if you don't get the money, like, sorry, fuck you. Like this is a state for rich people. So that's just kind of fucked up.
Let's not forget that we unleashed Reagan on the world.
We blessed the world with Reagan. Yes, correct.
Hallowed be his name.
Yes.
Well,
Reagan,
Bill,
I live in Orange County. Reagan said that Orange County is where good Republicans go to die.
good Republicans go to die is what you said?
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
he,
I
didn't
mean,
he
he
lie
meant
in
lovingly, but it was like,
state?
this is like where you put us out to pasture.
Oh.
Go on and mosey now.
Didn't Reagan lie in state in Orange County? Did you go see him when he had his open casket?
Oh, I mean, I'd still go every weekend.
Can I tell you guys a real
make the
truth? I legitimately, like, for 2/3 of my life, really thought of Reagan as like an ideological hero, and I'm still recovering from that tragedy.
Reagan had great marketing. I mean, when you get down to it, his superpower was brand himself and market. And I mean, we joke about that with Trump. But say what? Well, right. I don't know. This is funny with Trump or with Trump with Reagan. You know, he really did kind of create this personal brand and image that really superseded any of his policies, and people just felt like he loved America so much that didn't just like, well, he's Reagan, he's got our back, no matter even if we don't agree with him all the time. Like, he just had this particular way that people who you youngins don't even know. You don't even remember Reagan. I was literally in the car with my dad. Right? They played that clip of Reagan saying, well, you do. No, I know. But remember the thing where he's like, we've introduced legislation to outlaw the Soviet Union. We begin bombing in 5 minutes. And like, my dad almost pulled over laughing. And I was just like I was a kid. I didn't really get it. But like, he just had this kind of charm that people just got really keyed into. And it wasn't even about policy. Just he was just charming. So it's just funny how deeply that kind of our culture.
He was the person that Karl Rove was like, yes, this is the guy we need to idolize. Bush, you need to be a guy that people want to have a beer with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, It's weird. It's weird thinking about Reagan. I mean, Reagan at least had like some public policy experience. I mean, what he did as governor of California was not good, but he at least like built up some political acumen before he assumed the presidency. But what's interesting is that I think he, like Trump, used like the sheer force of will of his personality to shove policies down people's throats. So whatever policy, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how like illogical, and no matter how contemptuous, people ate it up because it was coming from him. I mean, I think it really was a cult of personality, and that's what we're dealing with again today.
And he did it even among his side. Like you think about the 1986 Immigration Control Act. Like, Reagan actually got amnesty for 3 million undocumented immigrants. Yep. Like, it's the kind of thing that Trump could have pulled off, and his base hated it, but he still could have done it. But like, Reagan actually did it. Like, Reagan did it to the other side. He did side. Like Trump, unfortunately, was like this dark, kind of stupid version of Reagan, and not that Reagan was any version of Reagan, and also a much darker version. But Reagan and Trump weirdly had the same ability that they could have kind of gotten a lot of shit past their own side away with it because of who they were. It's just that Reagan actually did it, and Trump just kind of missed every opportunity to use that power advantage.
Yeah. We had a comment on YouTube from Magnavox Slaps saying that California is the epicenter of corporate activity. The heart of big tech arose out of it. California just wears a leftist costume on the weekends. I think that's a good point to make, and wanted to read it in.
I concur.
True.
Yes.
I think we
observation viewer.
I think we need a little bit of levity for this. So while to wrap up the little energy segment in Texas, I want to share with our audience the mariachi band that played in front of Senator Cruz's house. So give me a second while I set that up.
I haven't seen this yet. I've seen all about it, but I haven't seen it.
Tab, mariachi, share, and share. That. All right, you guys should see on your screens, you should see me being able to share something, and then I will be getting us onto commentary in a second. 1 second. I swear I'll get to this faster once I learn how to do it. All right, and Bill, copy Copy. All right. I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
I would go over wait. This mariachi band played at a discount, and what?
I think that was a good little levity break for
Oh, man,
our
they were
audience and
awesome.
ourselves.
Those guys are good.
That was
Hell yeah.
great stuff. Great stuff.
Quality content.
Well, Bill, like
I
I
was
said,
hoping
I
for
am
Cielito Lindo myself. But
Yay!
glad that you were able to join us.
Yes, thank you guys. It was lovely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Bill. You were more than welcome to come on and share your thoughts and opinions with us again. And so you know where to find us now.
Excellent. Well, have a great evening all, and good to see you.
Likewise, Bill. Thank you.
Bye, Bill.
good to meet you.
I mean, we didn't actually see you. Camera was off.
I think he's gone already. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we talked about Texas energy and energy policy in general a bit. We talked about how the $15 minimum wage couldn't get through budget reconciliation due to parliamentarian issues. Maybe she got thrown on her bus. Maybe it's an actual thing. You decide. I think one of the things that we should probably talk about before we wrap this up is Merrick Garland and Nina Tandem's confirmations. So let's go ahead and start with Nina because it's a little bit funnier, and then we'll go on with Garland and then call it a night. How's that sound, guys?
Sounds
I
great.
mean, if you want to skip over the real news, yeah, but sure.
What's the real news? What's the real news?
Are you kidding? About how Lady Gaga's dog walker was shot and her 2
Oh
dogs were
my
stolen?
God!
Wait,
What?
Okay, but no, let's.
What?
no, you're joking?
What?
I thought you were
Like,
serious.
what?
No, it's serious.
It
This
is?
is
No.
completely serious.
It happened.
Okay, so
Grand
10 p.m. last
Theft
night.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It
And there was 3 French bulldogs were being walked by Lady Gaga's dog walker in LA. So white SUV guys jump out, grab the dogs. I guess there's a scuffle. So the dog walker gets shot in the chest 4 times. They get 2 of the 3 dogs and then get in the car and haul ass away. Now, people have pointed out that like high-end dogs and pets do get stolen, like Southern California, like it's a thing. However, I feel like these are usually like burglaries and thefts. Like you don't have people shot on the street, people's dogs, unless it's, you know, like this feels like a hit, you know, like a mafia hit, like something was either personal or they going on.
It's
So
Nobody
some Mean
wants
Girls
3
shit or
French
something,
bulldogs.
but to the hardcore kind of levels.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, this is a GTA mission where like you probably should turn this one down. Like you taking this mission. But so she offered.
I mean, I'm thinking that
No,
the
he's
dog
technically
napper is probably dead at this point because if you kidnap 3 French bulldogs, like they're going to eat your face. That's what those dogs do.
Right.
They're completely crazy.
So, you know, they say you can't get good help these days, but this dog walker actually he fought them and kept one of the dogs. Like he wouldn't like they got 2 of them away from him, but he still was while shot 4 times to the chest. Like when they rolled up, the guy was still clutching the leash, like you know, still had one of the dogs. So they only got 2 out of 3.
that just means he's more afraid of Lady Gaga than he was of the person who robbed him.
I mean, wouldn't you be?
Or maybe he had the obvious reward in mind, like, you know, Lady Gaga is going to hook him up.
I mean, is he dead?
Right,
He got
right,
shot
yeah.
4 times in the chest. Like, hold up.
I think
But
he's
as
alive.
of right now, he's still alive.
I think he's good.
Yeah, the thing is that
Yeah, I mean
in all of the
he's
stories-
he's in bad shape.
in all of the
Jesus.
stories, they all talk about the dogs, and then there's like a little footnote at the bottom: man shot 4 times, and that but the really important part was the dogs that were stolen, not the guy who got shot in the chest.
I mean,
It's really odd.
We're talking
Very
about
odd reporting.
we're talking about TMZ and people ET and stuff. They don't care about normal people. Let's be real.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I pay more attention to the Instagrams for the first dogs of the United States than I do for Biden or Kamala's. So, dog news is important.
Let's talk
Okay.
about Champ.
Hey, all dogs go to heaven. So
Let's talk about Champ then.
Ooh, hot take.
Except for
There
Paw
you go,
Patrol,
right.
because Cab.
that includes
Hey,
Paw
hey! As a Chase, I resent this, and I'm just gonna say, if Chase isn't on the case, then who is? Okay, somebody has to be on the case.
True. All right.
Make a
Have
good
you
point,
noticed
Swag.
that there are
See
no
the
All right,
difference.
we can talk about
Bulldogs in
Champ.
the show.
You know, that dog is dirty,
True.
old.
What?
Exactly.
Sorry, did you say something about Champ?
Yes, we should talk about Champ, right? I mean, everybody treated to the fact that Champ is an old dog and he's dirty
Yeah.
and he looks like a junkyard dog, which says to me that the right has absolutely nothing to complain about having to do with the Biden administration. So they got to pick on his fucking dog.
I mean, it's all
they
about
don't.
It's
aesthetics,
like
right?
a fit.
So we did an
Yeah,
episode about
aesthetics, there
that.
you
Actually,
go.
that was our latest episode.
That's right.
You should check it out.
But that's not even aesthetics. That's just them just having nothing to complain
Yeah.
about. So they're just barrel. Like there's
Listen,
nothing there.
Well,
Every
it's Ted Cruz's dog, you know, and so Ted Cruz's dog made news,
God.
and then within
No.
12 minutes, you know, Champ had to be in the news for being mistreated in some way. Yeah, Snowflake in the cold house. So that's
right,
that's
yeah.
how that went down.
I just, I have to say that every Democratic administration is plagued with these kinds of scandals. I mean, we remember the tan suit controversy. We remember the Dijon mustard disaster. Like I just wish the Democrats could just focus on policy, and then maybe we could actually get something done instead
It
of
was
distracting us.
Latte-gate.
I forgot about Latte-gate.
Yeah, agreed.
I forgot about Latte-gate.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now to
my
take
God.
it really old school. Now, Nikki, I'm going to throw this one. You know, these kids won't remember this, but so Jimmy Carter at one point was out trying to relax at Camp David, and he was out in a little rowboat and chill, and he got into a fight with a rabbit. And he got caught by this camera. And okay, you remember this? And the funniest, this is back before the era of memes. So like, this is the kind of thing where like the Jimmy Carter versus this rabbit. And the rabbit's in the water. Like if you Google Jimmy Carter rabbit,
I'm
you will
Googling it right
see
now.
like him in a boat and this rabbit, and it was like like this epic I don't know, like it's the kind of thing where live on forever if it happened now. But like Jimmy Carter
Right.
lucked out because he was right before that era of the internet and all that. So like it was just like a funny thing that happened, and then it just kind of went away because we had no way to kind of keep it going.
Yeah, error
The
works
internet never
too.
But
forgets.
right,
Yeah, we need to
I'm taking
amplify
you
it.
back on that one.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can throw it up for our audience right now again, but
Not that
if-
far.
if-
I'm the
if-
next boomer. Anybody
No,
doesn't
throw it
know.
up. Honestly, if we could make a meme out of the Jimmy, we could bring that one back. I mean, that's just the true power of the internet.
Yeah.
But and then we
I
had
mean,
like Dan Quayle and Potato.
Oh,
So
potato.
that was
Unfortunately,
early.
go ahead, Chase.
This was all, pre Al Gore, so it was pre-internet because Al Gore invented
true.
the internet. So I mean, that's
true.
you got to place things in the timeline.
Much.
Say what, Nikki?
Exactly right. And we know Al Gore. Al Gore did invent the internet, as you said, Chase, and we know that because algorithms. Huh, see?
Yeah. Oh my God! I just realized is Al Gore Satoshi Nakamoto? That's the name, right? Am I screwing up that name?
Yeah, for
Satori?
Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, Satori.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that is
Oh my
that
You
is
know the
what's
guy.
happening. Yes.
Just pretend that I made that joke perfectly the first time.
It's all good.
We knew where it was going. That was perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God.
As a resident boomer, I do remember all of those things about it.
Nice.
I will say the Dems do it to themselves a little bit too, because what happened to Howard Dean, that whole thing was a little bit, they took the audio just from his microphone. I mean, he got the shaft. Poor guy.
A
Yeah.
simpler time.
But he lives
Before the
forever as
institution.
a piece of history with Dave Chappelle and all our gift searches.
Yes. Yes, indeed. The internet never forgets, everybody. Remember that.
No.
You don't live in Europe. You live in the United States. You're fucked.
The internet, which is not a big truck, it's a series of tubes.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I think
Let's see how many of these we can tie together in 5 minutes.
Wow. I'm sorry, I derailed us with the Lady Gaga. Oh, my last just point on that, just to loop back, was that she offered a $50,000 or $500,000 reward for information about the dogs. Then people got upset because they're like, the guy. Now, I would just point out that, point out that if you catch the people who have the dogs, you had the people who shot the guy.
Yeah.
So, like, weirdly, like, it's actually the right way to do it. If you're trying to catch the people who shot him, just try to get the dogs back. When you get the dogs back, you're going to get the guy who shot the guy.
Yeah.
Like that's actually the let's do it. So I back her on that play, even though people are thinking it's cynical.
That was my thinking as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you mention the dogs, people have something to look for. If you mention, some random person that we have no description of whatsoever shot somebody, then
exactly. Like, yeah, but they're like, oh, she cares about her dogs, but not the guy took her. Like, which is probably true, but the point is that you're trying to get the
it's way easier to find 2 Tasmanian like little devil dogs eating somebody's face than some.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was the right play. Anyway, Anthony, what did I derail you? You had something legit in that. Look at her face.
That's a cute.
Look at
We'll do a puppy stream where we all have our dogs in here.
Not mine. My dog's stupid.
I mean, that's fine.
My dog's smart. My dog's smart, and it's a pain in the ass. So you cherish your stupid dog.
Aww. I'm sorry, Anthony. What did I derail you from? We were going somewhere with this.
We were going to talk about Merrick Garland and Teenum confirmation hearings. So I think it's a good place to wrap it up. I think we should go. We'll start with Merrick Garland, so we just had a slew of jokes, and then we can shit on the neoliberal everybody hates her nominee. So Merrick Garland, everybody. As everybody should know by now, Merrick Garland was nominated by President Obama to serve on the Supreme Court. Republicans, Mitch McConnell, that wasn't as good as my first time doing that, but Mitch McConnell was like, no. And so now he wasn't able to sit on the Supreme Court because they were not having that. They wanted to take a gamble, paid off. They were able to get 3 justices on the Supreme Court. We got 0. Well, the Democrats got 0. And so we got royally butt fucked. So now we're flash forward to now. We have Merrick Garland being nominated to serve as the Attorney General. Merrick Garland has history as working with the Attorney General's office, specifically for civil rights, and I want to say it was also
Oklahoma
FBI.
City bombing.
Yes, Oklahoma City bombing as well. So, thoughts, opinions on the nomination process? Is he a good pick? What's your guys' thoughts?
Well, according to Merrick Garland, he said that this is the absolute best use of his skills. Now, I don't know if that was a troll for all the people who wouldn't vote on him for the Supreme Court, but that's what he said.
I mean, it's where he was spending most of his time, right? He was only a justice on the D.C. Circuit Court for 4 years, I want to say. It wasn't very long. I mean, it was 4 years it was like a couple of years when he was nominated. So at this point, I think it's like 5 or 6. But yeah, I would probably agree with that. Don't necessarily think it's a troll though. Chase, did you have something you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, the critical role for anyone stepping into this job right now is to restore faith in the Justice Department and to rebuild it as an institution, because faith in the Justice Department, I mean, it's just, I don't think it could be much lower. And the ability of somebody to come in who really knows what they're doing, who has a high degree of, respectability is pretty necessary right now. Is he like the perfect guy for everything and every position and everything else? No. But I think that when he says this is the perfect skill, this is the perfect way for me to apply my skill set, I think that 4 years ago, that may not have been the case, but the Justice Department has had its norms so relentlessly stomped on for the last 4 years that we really actually do need somebody like Merrick Garland to kind of come in and unfuck things.
Good point.
So,
yeah, good point.
Great point with that. Nikki, did you have, what's your thoughts on this?
I watched some of the confirmation hearing, and in fact, I caught the part where he was talking about, I think Cory Booker was the person who asked him a question about where his heart for this comes from. And he got very, very choked up, as he did when he accepted the nomination from Biden, as a matter of fact. He was talking about how his parents fled anti-Semitism, and that his focus really is on civil rights, and that he intends to make the January 6th insurrection #1 priority for him when he takes office. So I think he's the right person for this time. I agree with you, Chase, that 4 years ago, maybe not so much. But today, the guardrails have been smashed so badly that I think he's the right person to kind of lead us back to a place that we trust, at least somewhat, in the independence of the Justice Department. And I don't think that he would be politically influenced by Biden or anyone else. I think he's the right guy.
Yeah, I would like to also say that his answer of I am not the president's lawyer, I am the American people's lawyer, was a very much a repudiation of both dang, I can't remember names right now. Both a repudiation of shoot. Somebody help me out here. I feel like a dummy. Who was the first? Who was the first Attorney General? No, not Bill Barr.
Sessions.
Sessions. Both for repudiation of Sessions and Bill Barr. I couldn't remember Sessions'
John
name.
Adams.
But yeah, so I think that was a good call. During the, one of the things that I did say is that kind of supposed to represent the president's interest a little bit as far as executive authority and actions are concerned, but not supposed to be a personal lawyer. So what they were doing and refused to do, why Sessions got nixed and why Bill Barr was able to stay on as long as he was, is because of that kind of thing. So I think that was an important point to put out. Art, what's your thought on this guy?
I just wanted to point out that he's actually been on the United States Court of Appeals of Columbia since 1997.
Oh, okay. I was terribly wrong. Thank you for the correction. Now everybody can laugh at me.
No, I mean, when you said that, I'm like, man, did they really die right off the boat? But yeah, I just Googled that. It's not like I fucking knew. So
no, I know. I got you. I appreciate the correction because I do not like giving wrong information. So,
okay, that's all.
Wait, so, you're on Twitch and you don't like giving wrong information? You are in the wrong space, my friend.
I am. It's
what
why
we
can't
get
here? Followers here. I am too nice. I don't do the jokes.
Too nice.
I don't do the jokes.
Also, you need to put on. You need to put on the flannel.
Oh, well, I have one. I mean, I've worn it before.
Okay.
Oh,
get
you
the axe
are a
behind you, the flannel.
I am lumbersexual.
Right.
I have like one or two flannel shirts. I don't roll up the sleeves. I have a pearl snap button, short sleeve, red flannel shirt.
I'm just saying, Sean's the geek demographic in. Afra's got the darkness, that kind of that emo thing. I've got what I've got going on. And then but really
I'm not dark.
And Nikki serious.
I'm
we don't
real emo here.
Right. Nikki's very mysterious. We don't know what's going on with Nikki. It's just left to the imagination, which is.
I'm nothing but sweetness and light. I mean,
No, I meant aesthetic. Yeah, but the dark shirt. Okay, but Cypher, what are you doing for us?
my hair is gone.
No, Cypher and I are just the resident himbos. Okay, we're forming a himbo support group.
True.
I like it.
True.
Himbos need representation too. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, good.
I'm all about that. That's all. I'm with
Fair
Chase
enough.
on this one. Chase, we understand each other.
True. Okay, I stand corrected.
Oh my God.
All right, so for near
All right, let's talk about
tandem.
near tandem.
Let's do this. Well, so was she a sacrificial lamb, or did Biden really agree with a lot of her stances and was really hoping that she would get voted in? Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think if he did think she was going to get voted in, I think I don't have a problem with her, but she's been a commentator and a pundit and a Twitter personality for the last 4 years. There was no way that half the Senate wasn't going to have a problem with her for some reason or another. And I hadn't actually thought about the sacrificial lamb aspect of it, but that makes a lot of sense to me. Also, it needs to be said, as it has been, that for Republicans to complain about mean tweets is a little bit weird, and perhaps putting them in a position where they have to be abject hypocrites is somewhat of a good way to raise political capital when Neera Tanden does not get confirmed.
Yeah, except for the Democrats just aren't. They are like this is literally cancel culture according to the Republicans. Yet the Democrats aren't sounding the alarm. They aren't out there complaining about it. They aren't pointing out the hypocrisy in the way that the Republicans and the Republican media ecosystem is so good at doing. They're
not showing their work. They're doing it, they're putting it out there, but they're not showing their work. They're not leading people to see what it is that they're trying. If that's what they're after, they're not connecting the dots, and they're just sort of hoping, like many of my writing students do, that like we'll figure it out for ourselves. If they put her out there for that reason, they need to lead the media to see that that's what they have done. And I think Democrats make this mistake again and again, saying, "All right, we're just going to expose this and stand back." It's not enough. It's you have to have the media on your side, and you have to show your work.
I love comparing Democratic to be represented.
True.
Yeah, I just love comparing Democratic strategy to a poorly written essay.
It's time out. Chase, can you finish your point, and then Nikki, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I love comparing Democratic strategy to a poorly written essay. I've never heard a more apt comparison.
True.
Nikki, please go ahead. Bueller.
What bothers me is, and I think this is the reason why, what bothers me is that, and I think this is the reason why the media or the Democrats aren't pushing this into the media, is that there's a lot of Democrats who are also very upset that she did so many terrible tweets. Bernie Sanders comes immediately to mind because she said terrible things about Bernie Sanders 3 years ago or something. There are other Democrats too that are against her. Now, Manchin specifically is interesting to me because she apparently insulted Manchin's daughter. So if that's behind why Manchin is pushing back against her, that's pretty shitty. They should all be breaking out in hypocrisy at this point, all of them.
I mean, hypocrisy is the queen of the realm, right? Like,
I know.
No, she's rough though. I mean, I followed her on Twitter over the last 4 years. She's rough. I mean, she's very pointed in her criticism of the Bernie wing of the party, maybe even more so than the Republicans. She did not hold back, which is why it seems odd. It seemed odd to me that Biden even nominated her, not because she's not qualified, but that she's sort of gone all in over the last few years to just being a Twitter troll. Like this isn't a couple of isolated incidents. Like that's who Neera Tanden has been on Twitter since Hillary Clinton lost. So and of course that's what Donald Trump has always been. But it just seems like, there might be something to that sacrificial lamb idea.
Yeah, I that's where I lean to it, because as many things as she has said, as many people as she has pissed off, there is no other explanation that makes sense. And I'm the kind of person who's like, well, if nothing else makes sense, then I don't want to assume people are stupid. So there had to be some sort of reasonable explanation. That's the best one I could come up with. But maybe that's just me being too charitable. Maybe people are really that dumb.
Well, now they're saying that.
Go ahead.
Now they're saying that they'll put her someplace else in the cabinet or someplace where she doesn't have to be nominated and confirmed by the Senate.
Ooh,
So
I think
it
that's
sounds like they're
worse.
starting to talk of it already. Yes, I think it's worse.
It is kind of worse.
I do.
So
I
they
think
really
it's
wanted
true.
her.
I do too.
The thing is, if they really wanted her and they were willing to play hardball like the Trump admin did, then they just appoint her as an acting, and then Congress can't do anything about it. And then they say, well, then I'm going to nominate somebody you'll hate even more. Like the Trump admin did that with like, what, a dozen people? So, I mean, if they really cared, if they really wanted her. Yeah, seriously. I remember like looking when there was all that talk, delusional talk, by the way, about the 25th Amendment and like the discussion about whether acting people even had a vote. And I'm like, well, my reading is that they do, but let's see how many acting people there are. And it was like half. It was like a ludicrous number of people were acting, but they did it. I don't think, again, this gets back to like the Dems just don't have the backbone to do stuff like that. And I don't understand why, because the Republicans do it all the time.
Could it be partly because the Democrats are actually more bifurcated on what is proper uses of power than the Republicans are? Republicans will use power to exert their ideological ends, and they're more ideologically consistent between the far right and the center right of the parties, whereas the Democrats are like kind of not so much there. And I don't know, it could also be cowardly. But I like to be charitable. So Art, you had I saw your hand.
It's actually just the opposite. So the Republicans are bifurcated. You have Mitch McConnell wing, which is very traditional, very old school. They're all about just moving the ball down the field. Like they're just all about yardage. They don't care about what the commentary is. They care about the numbers. The people, the Trump, the MTG, that wing of the party, it's basically like we were talking earlier, shit posting is the coin of the realm. Like for them, it's about getting the narrative out there, creating the impression, creating the, that sense of shaping what people think. So you have with the Republicans, it truly is bifurcated. With the Democrats, like people like Biden genuinely don't understand. Like they just see like a Tandon as someone who's loyal. And in the traditional Democratic architecture, if you're out there and you're fighting the good fight and you're defending the crown and all of that, this is what you do. You get rewarded. So people that they're reliable troops, they get backed. So the fact that she ran into this trouble really seemed to surprise the administration at the higher levels. Probably your mid ranks and your lower ranks got it. They got it all day long. But I think that Biden, he got elected, he was a throwback, but he is a throwback. Like he doesn't get how the game is played these days. So he's probably going to put her somewhere where she doesn't need Senate comment. He's going to reward her because the whole point is to reward her because she's been loyal. But the reason that she problems, I genuinely don't think that he understands the new world. I mean, how many times been on Twitter blowing it up? Like that's just not his scene. He doesn't get it. So the fact that like that would actually offend people, he's aware of it. He's aware of Trump and his Twitter and all. It's not where he lives. He just doesn't get it. He's just a dinosaur.
I think that's a fair point.
That's a good theory as well.
I mean, there's some credence to that because look at like why is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Chase, go ahead. Nikki, go ahead first, and then Chase, please.
Okay. I was just going to say that I don't know that he doesn't get it so much as he doesn't like it, that he hates that that's where we are.
That could be it too.
And he wants to pull us back to a place where we are civil. But I don't think we can get there. I don't think he can pull us back there. But I think it's less about him not getting it and more about him wanting to go back to that place. And there's my dog. I will mute myself.
Hey, but maybe he shouldn't have nominated a person that completely shit on the left wing of the party. Just saying.
Good point.
Chase, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that what Art is getting at, I think that there's some truth to it. Especially because why is Pete Buttigieg the Secretary of Transportation? It makes I like Pete Buttigieg fine. I know, like, I don't know, maybe that makes me a liberal, I guess, but like he has no business being there except for it like politically makes sense, and like he is part of the reason that Biden got the nomination. So like that like weird political quid pro quo loyalty thing definitely seems to be part of what is driving some of these nominations.
No, definitely. I mean, was totally a horse trade. Go ahead, Art.
I'm going to make an argument for Pete Buttigieg later, but I want everyone else to talk first.
Okay.
I'm excited for this.
I think you should go ahead and go. I think you're on deck, dude.
Nope, I need a minute.
Stop tweeting at PragerU, Art. Come on.
I just need a moment. I'm sorry.
No, but yeah, to that point about Pete Buttigieg, it was definitely a horse trade. He dropped out when he had 15, maybe 20% of the vote, or possibly getting the vote. And had they fractured that, maybe Sanders would have had more pull. So they came together and there was some horse trading going on. Now, Art, that you're ready, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just had to tweet at Prager. All right. So, but as far as Pete, so he worked for after Harvard and all that. He worked for McKinsey out of their Chicago office, which is basically like consulting firms in the U.S. So here is the argument for taking a consultant and putting him in that type of role, is that what consultants do at that level is they'll go into a corporation and they will be hired as this kind of external expertise to assess the corporation and give them advice. And you'll have people that have no expertise in this. But what they can do is you've got an institution that has this hierarchy. You can't get certain things because of just the culture within. So you have these external people come in, they'll talk to the mid-ranking people, they'll talk to the lower-ranking people, they'll talk to everybody, and they'll say, if you could company, what would you do? What's wrong with it? What can be addressed? So he actually has expertise in being a person who can come into an organization and conceive notions of what is possible, not possible, and what it should be and not be, talk to everybody, pull out the good ideas, figure out who's stupid, figure out who's smart, and kind of synthesize it, and then present these ideas and say, you know what, based on my assessed corporation, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing right. I've talked to, several hundred people. We've done interviews. We've done the surveys. We've figured out what the problem is. And weirdly, I hate to say this, but there is a good reason to have consultants for organizations, and that is organizations can't fix themselves. You really do need an outside power. So he's actually weirdly qualified to fix an organization he doesn't know about because that's what he was trained to do. So that's my whole angle with that. It's counterintuitive, but this is why giant corporations pay out the nose external assessments like McKinsey.
Exactly.
And they also have the knowledge. So go ahead, Nikki. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think that's an incredibly good point, Art. Absolutely. And if it was a horse trading thing, Anthony and Chase, don't you think he would have horse traded for something a little less, esoteric, I guess, than transportation? Wouldn't you horse traded for something with a bit more visibility?
No. And the reason I'm going to say no is because putting him in charge of, say, the VA would be too obvious. And one of Biden's big pushes is to greatly increase the transportation budget and go for infrastructure. And we're talking things like light rail, increasing highway funding, fixing roads and bridges. This is going to be a very high profile, assuming that things can get through Congress. This is probably going to be a very high profile gig, and one that doesn't have the potential to go awry as quickly as a different kind of secretary level position. So I think this is actually a smart move and a smart trade. Now, that's assumptions on my part. So you could be fully right, but I do think there's going to be a lot of pull here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's actually going to have a significant role, assuming that infrastructure weeks actually result in something under this administration. Unlike some previous administrations where infrastructure weeks were literally meaningless. The idea, though, that because he worked in consulting, is going to like make him effective at this job is very weird to me. Like, I feel like we just had a pretty recent case study in why applying like business logic to government isn't always the greatest idea.
God, yeah.
Maybe I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Say Trump's not a real businessman, so that
Yeah,
That's
what I
true.
was gonna
That's
say.
true.
Yeah.
He only played one on TV. He did only play one on TV. That's fair.
Right, yeah.
But still, like, I work in an industry where I regularly work with consultants as a result of my work. And I'm just going to be honest, like, consultants do get paid a lot of money, but a lot of times I feel like they get paid to come in and tell the organization what it already knows. And usually the experts in the organization or other expertise in the field is way more effective than bringing in a consultant. Now, like I said, I think that he'll probably be fine in this role. Like, there have been way more like politically hacky appointments than Pete Buttigieg, but like, it's kind of gross, it just feels kind of gross. Like, there are a lot of cabinet appointments that I'm really behind. We already talked about how I like Merrick Garland. I just, it's fine. Like, that's really all I have to say about it. And Pete is popular, and it's good to have, LGBT representation in Congress or in the cabinet, even he's like the most easily, oh God, I have to be careful with my language. He's the easiest to swallow gay man ever to have been in politics.
Wow, why would you insult the man like that? You don't know what he's packing, dude.
Wow. Wow.
First of all, Cypher, you need to stop body shaming. All genitals are fine regardless of their size or shape, okay?
All men are kings. It's not the hammer that you're packing, but the motion in the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh my
Taking
God.
your full back.
Okay. That
Oh my
was
God.
unexpected.
I don't know how we got here.
Before I get us all
Wow.
Let it be known, Chase brought us right to this point.
Oh, glad to be here. It's my first time.
What's
New
a
to
hard act
Twitch,
to
are ya?
follow?
I mean, I think we just have to end it now.
Yeah, I think so.
No. Just go
Okay,
ahead.
let me just I'm going to slide this in real quick. Sorry, but
God.
what,
Now he says
what I was going
what?
to say is that as far as the consulting thing, now I realize that it sounds counterintuitive. I'm just going to say this is somebody that was once a internal expert organization that then got out and was rehired at over 3 times his old salary to tell that same organization to do, and was a lot more effective. And it doesn't make sense because you're exactly right. Within the organization, that already exists. It's a cultural problem. The reason that consultants are effective is because they can take expertise within, but they can actually give management. Not only can management take these ideas but they can now blame an external source for it. So if management doesn't want to do something because the underlings are saying they should do it because they're afraid they got blamed if it goes wrong, they can blame this overpaid organization from outside that do it. So it's not even about the expertise, it's about the dynamic. So this is my only point with someone like putting Pete in charge of reforming something, is that he knows the process of reforming an organization by being the external guy who's saying what everybody already fucking knows. Like, we already know how to fix it. It's just the management culture won't allow it to happen because of that organization. So you're just stuck. So you need this outside force. But Anthony, like, familiar with INSCOM, once I got out, I was hired by INSCOM to tell them what I had been telling them for years from within the Army. But once I was outside the Army as this high paid, suddenly I gained like 300 IQ points. And they're just like, oh, well, geez, we should have been doing that all along. I'm like,
No shit.
You just didn't know. You just didn't know, even though I've been fucking telling you for fucking 10 years before that, but whatever. So that's my only point, is that it doesn't make sense when you think about it, like, just at a base level. It's just a weird aspect of corporate culture or government or organizational culture where, and again, I hate to admit it, but like, I kind of like Pete too. Like, if that makes me a dirty lib, then whatever. But like, I see the appeal. He's got a lot going for him.
I mean, he's good
but-
looking. He's good looking. Wait, what was I saying?
Right. That's true.
There's a great
It's not
husband.
bad to look at. So,
Dude,
right.
his husband. Okay, so his husband is from Wisconsin.
Yep.
It turns out this is Wisconsin. I'm originally also from Wisconsin. His husband is, I swear to God, the most boring human on the planet, and he seems like great. But man, like somebody needs to like sit him down and teach him how to like emote at all when he steps in front of a microphone.
Hey, you know, I don't want to knock anybody because he
True.
could just be an introvert.
That's true. That's true. He could be. He also, so he went to college at UW Eau Claire, and there's a saying from everybody in Wisconsin that like if you don't know where to go to college, and it goes, when in doubt, go to Stout. If not there, try Eau Claire, and that's where. So that's where Pete Buttigieg's husband went to college, which I find hilarious.
That's
That's
pretty on
fantastic.
brand.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Love
Well,
it.
Does anybody have a final thought, a final topic you want to talk about? We have been streaming for about an hour and 42 minutes. Typically try to keep these under 2 hours. If not, we can wrap it up.
We need to let Sean jump in and tell us what's going on with crypto, because it's been a roller. What's going like Bitcoin hit 54? Like it went like yeah. Tell us about some Bitcoin.
And
Like, what's going on with crypto?
GME is back up over over $100
30, yeah.
to the moon.
Oh yeah, the GameStop and
Yeah.
the AMC shit's going on again too.
Oh, AMC,
really
now I
wanna
gotta
get
check
into
my
GameStop
stocks.
stuff.
Hold up. Go ahead, Sean.
Crypto is crazy right now. There's a lot going on. So a lot of what started the jump from around 10,000 to boost it up to the 50s is what's called DeFi coin, the DeFinance coins. There's like maybe 3 dozen of those out right now that are relatively new. Some of them are even from 3 years ago from that pump. But yeah, it's legit. There's a lot behind it that I'm not going to explain as far as how they work, but it's DeFi. Look it up if you're interested. But that kind of boosted the price of everything. And then you've got Elon and Tesla jumping in. You've got Square, which is the payment processing company.
Dorsey.
Basically. Yeah, it's Jack Dorsey, Twitter CEO, is the CEO of them as well. And they just bought
I
a
didn't know
ton for like $51K average price.
Yeah.
So they ain't scared. And then you've got, what was it? I don't know. There's a huge fund. They just bought like $1 billion worth for the same price, around 51K. So yeah, they're pretty confident there. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
I just like to say that I've made a decent penny on this crypto run up. I've converted it to regular stocks. So
I gotta say,
Nice to me.
because the average person listening has probably heard of Doge more than any of the other stuff that they should be hearing about.
Don't buy Dogecoin.
I'm not gonna say don't buy it. You could make money, whatever, but you could just as easily lose money, and it's not really worth a shit if you ask me.
it's literally a meme coin. It was set up to be a joke, and then any money that they make from it is goes to charity. That's the only reason to do it. Is if you want to help charity. That's it.
Yeah, people see the price. It's like 1 cent, 2, 3 cent, whatever, and people think, oh, Bitcoin used to be that. This is like Bitcoin.
No,
This is going to be the same price as Bitcoin one day. I'm going to be super rich. It's not going to work like that, folks. It's
I was involved in one meme coin. I harvested a bunch of Garlic coin, and that turned out just to be a straight up scam.
dude,
Nice.
that was old school. Yeah, that was trash.
Wow.
Avoid that.
Yeah, it was complete trash. It was fun. Like it kind of got me to learn about crypto. So like I don't
that
regret
stuff is
doing
good because it pulls people in. I kind of think that was Elon's goal there, was to be like, oh, Doge, it's funny, meme time, ha, Elon. But at some point, everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, this is actually worthless. Let me get Bitcoin now. And so Elon's actually invested in Bitcoin, and there'll be
can see
this
that,
transfer of we're going to sell all our Doge and we're going into the other real stuff now. So that's going to happen eventually. And stuff's gonna
I'm unfortunately the idiot who once it hit 20K, I was like, it's probably not, I mean, it'll go up, but probably not for a while. So I sold I only had like a couple $1,000 in Bitcoin, but it hit 20 and I'm like, now's a good time to get out for a while. I don't need to be in this crazy asset. And who's the idiot now?
I can tell you a lot of depressing stories about how I could be a millionaire 20 times over right now.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I was an original investor in the Tron. You've heard of Tron? It's one of the other meme ones. It's been around for a long time, but I was an original investor in the ICO. Put like $1,000 in there in Ethereum. A few months later, it was like 100,000. But a month before that, I sold it for 1,000 or 2,000, something like that. It was like double. It was double my initial investment. Sold it a month later, $100,000. I was like, what the fuck?
Hey, at least you guys didn't get scammed by a college friend out of a couple of grand trying to play Bitcoin market. So
Dude,
count your blessings.
so many scams out there. Definitely read up on what you're doing, research, look at white papers. You probably don't even know what a white paper is. Look it up. Stop investing in random shit.
if you're hearing about it first from us, it's already too late.
Yeah. Join our Discord. We have some good calls in our
Actually, we do have
channel.
we do actually have not investment
We
advice.
aren't investors,
but
we do
but
have
we do
ideas,
have-
and so far we have a pretty damn good track record.
yeah, Sean got me on that NRZ, man.
Yeah.
That was
Hey,
like
NRZ 's
quadruple.
solid. Dividends.
So, all right.
So this is funny. I know literally nuts, like embarrass me nothing. Like I bought some Ethereum, that's it, and some Tesla. Like Ethereum, Tesla, like that's literally. I'm not saying it's not financial advice, but it's just fun. I don't know anything about it, but I know enough to just never sell it. And I am in real estate, so it's funny because people will ask, this and that about getting certain properties, whatever. I'm like, well, look. The trick is nobody regrets buying here in the long run. People regret they didn't buy sooner. You could go back to like 1975 and buy like one of these lots. Right now it's worth $2.5 million. If you could buy that for like $25,000, would you do that? That's just it. Like if you're happy to buy something and let it ride, like it might not perform for you year to year the way that you want. But on a long enough timeline, like you would not turn this down. You'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm absolutely going to do that. So I feel like with stocks, it should as long as you're looking at the long game, you should be fine. It's these guys who are like trying to like run it day by day where I don't know. I saw guys who were just going nuts. This is the funniest thing, just really, really quick. When we were in Afghanistan, I worked with day traders. We had what was called a PSC5, like a antenna. And they were day trading off of that in between work. And they were going insane because they were trying to chase things and then they would freak out early or they waited too long. And it was just like, it was almost gambling for them. It's like these guys with slot machines going crazy. And I'm just like, I feel like if you just bought it, just like didn't think about it, just let it sit there and come back to it like 10 years later, you probably feel a lot differently than now, like trying to like buy and sell all day long.
So what I'm hearing, Art, is really I'm just taking away two words from this, and it is diamond hands.
Yes,
absolutely. Diamond hands. Diamond hands. Yeah.
Diamond hands.
Hard black diamond hands.
No, seriously, I do. I mean, honestly, like I have all my retirement accounts are in like target date and good growth stock, like index funds, low fee. Like I am just a risk averse long-term investor type. 100% of 10-year periods in the stock market have a positive rate of return, and like 90% of 5-year periods do. So like if you just leave your money in the market long enough, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a positive rate of return.
Nope, that would be my advice as well. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. But with that, I am sad to say that we are out of time. If you liked what you heard, and we know you did because you stayed with us until just now, go ahead and smash that like button for the algorithms, share us with your friends, subscribe, and as always, keep your head up through the political storm.